Genshin Impact is a game very close to my heart. From the first time I experienced the Valen and Venti, to the hangouts with lovable characters, to the seemingly endless sea of talented voice actors or fan artists who expand on what I thought a mobile game could ever deliver in quality. I want to look back at what I've learned both about the game and myself by playing it for 500 days. As of uploading this video, I have been playing this game for 500 days. Assuming I didn't skip logging in any day, that's nearly 2,000 dailies, 90,000 resin generated, and 3 child reruns. So, what have I learned over this absurd amount of time in this little game with a big world? Well, 1. Gacha is dumb. As someone who has spent a lot of time grinding this game, getting most areas to 100% and completing every world quest, I can honestly say that no amount of Primogem farming will save me from my insanely bad gacha luck. My friends would go wishing and winning their 50-50s and 40 pulls, and I'd be crying in my room, losing my 50-50 and spending 180 pulls just to get Kazuha. miHoYo really do have favorites when it comes to gacha, and the biggest lesson that I've learned is that basically everyone has a gambling addiction, whether they'd like to admit it or not, cause getting lucky or getting that character you want just feels so good. Luckily, gacha isn't everything in Genshin Impact, as you can play the game with your starting cast of characters and still complete the quests no problem, which brings me on to my next point. 2. Everyone plays differently. Going into the Genshin community, I was surprised to find so many different playstyles. I personally started off my Genshin days watching guides and tips videos from various YouTube creators. And even though I thought this was common practice, I had apparently learned a lot from these videos that my friends didn't know, which led me to realizing that even with the same game premise, people prioritize differently. There are the lore fanatics who will read every single item description, do every single quest, and make theories regarding the future regions and characters based on stage play stereotypes and mythology, or the C6 min-maxers who will spend their lives in domains trying to grind for the perfect artifact so their characters can hit for that extra 1% damage. Or the Sino-havers who will spam join your wall so they can steal, ask nicely, for your scarabs to ascend them faster. I swear those Sino players know the desert like the back of their hand. Everyone plays this game differently, and it's always interesting hearing everyone's favorite part about the game. Drop yours down in the comments, by the way. And of course, people also have their things they dislike when it comes to Genshin, which brings me on to my next point. 3. Genshin isn't everything. As much as I love this game dearly, and I wish you could spend days happily taking on quest after quest, that simply is not the kind of game that miHoYo seems to be set on creating. Instead, they seem set on creating a casual experience to explore every few weeks, and if that's what they're offering and want to keep offering, then we can't really change that. You might love all kinds of fast food, for example, but if a pizza place only wants to stick with pizza, then can you really blame them for that? Even if people wish they could go there and eat different things. It's understandable if content creators want to make content surrounding the game, but just like you can't keep making food reviews just about a single restaurant, you can't keep expecting Genshin content to be a forever providing fountain by itself. So it has been really relieving to sometimes just be able to put away Genshin and say, you know what? I'll be coming back to read the next chapter of this book, but until then, I won't try to squeeze more out of it than I need to. Because when you start to look at it like that, as a book that you can just come back to when the next chapter comes out, I can promise you that the time you do spend within the game is gonna become a whole lot more enjoyable. 4. Enjoy the community. Honestly, that third point was the last thing I had written down, but it didn't feel right leaving it there, so I whacked my brain for a bit like, what can I end this video with that will leave a sweeter taste in the mouth of the viewer? And then it hit me, enjoying the community. You see, a lot of the time, yes, the Genshin community can be quite toxic, and often under tweets you'll find so much hatred that you'll want to throw yourself out of a window. But at the same time, the Genshin community is one of the most creative places I have seen in my time on the internet. The amount of fan art, cosplay, remixes, fan-made products, and so much more you can find is amazing. Even on the days where I don't have the time or energy to spend within the game, I can still get smiles and value out of these amazing creators. Overall, I've enjoyed my time with Genshin Impact, and while I don't have as much to do these days within the game, I still enjoy the time that I do spend with it. With Sumeru's Archon quests wrapping up and another dry content period incoming, will I be around every day? Probably not, but you can bet that I'll still be around after another 500 days.